So for the second segment of the SBA Love Story, I invited my dear friend who you have all seen in, I think she's like my partner in crime with my podcast, Lyndsey Blanks. She is with Hancock Whitney. And so she has a client, Triple Threat Athletics. So that's composed of Ashlee, Carrie, and Christine. And so today we have on Ashlee and Christine. They make up Triple Threat Athletics, where cheer and dance and tumbling. Oh my God, Ella was so into this. So my daughter Ella was in cheer and we loved it. It built up her confidence, her love of cheer, teamwork. And here, this facility opens up to all students who want to build skill, confidence, and teamwork. See, just like Ella. And in many small businesses, their growth was fueled by the right financial partnership, which we'll hear about today. So, we'll welcome Lyndsey and Triple Threat Athletics. Everybody, Ashlee, Christine, Lyndsey, thank you for joining me on the second episode of February Love SBA Stories. Lyndsey is my go-to, and I said to her, hey, tell me about your favorite borrower, and now you guys are here. Triple Threat Athletics, baseball, softball, bringing everything and training, which I loved about this. So my beginner opening question as a relationship begins is, let's start from the beginning. When you first started thinking about getting a loan, what was happening in your mind, in the business mind, and what made you guys decided to explore on Triple Threat?
I want to say we had a lot of bad dates before we met Lyndsey. If we're talking about a true love story, there's a history that is pretty significant of denial, hatred, anger. I mean, every emotion you can think about in us trying to establish a relationship with the bank, we went through it. And so to kind of learn lessons along the way, it was amazing to kind of fall in love, right? To get Lyndsey. And it was sort of an instant, someone's finally accepting us. We didn't know in the SBA process that the level of denial is real. And we were doing the same thing. We were doing what we had been advised. We were following all the rules. We looked good on paper. We just needed someone to believe in us and believe in our business model. And so after a lot of rejection, it was extremely validating to finally have someone. I mean, it was probably at least 7 that we had tried.
7.
Yeah, I think so. Even one person was like, money tree, I'll find you money. And we went through gimmick after gimmick. And finally, it was someone who believed in us.
It took the girls, right? Because we went through the sleaze to get
my
to the
second episode of my podcast, I had Lyndsey on, and my hairdresser went through the same process that you did. It was 7 banks, 7 credit unions, whatever, and she finally found somebody. Unfortunately, wasn't you, but
Lyndsey, I think it was 17 banks. I don't think it was near to the extent. Yeah, no, I want to say that Shane's was 17.
But the funny, that's the whole process of Lyndsey, your bad dates. Talk me through that process.
Yeah, so when we first started out, there's a lot of level of just ignorance, right? You don't know what you don't know. And so you're putting yourself out there. We've created what we thought was a great business model and kind of hey, this is what our startup would look like and what the costs were and what our vision was and what the need was in the community. And we were being met with a lot of just you don't really know what you're doing. You know what I mean? And just like you said, just straight rejection of okay, yeah, we're interested, but we're not doing that right now, or we're not going that direction. So we had a few where it was, okay, yeah, this sounds great. Give me a few days to look at it. And then it would come back of, hey, the bank's going a different direction right now. Or, hey, we're not doing this type of business at this time. Or, it's not a perfect fit for what we've got here. Or, hey, if you want to do, a personal loan or something like that, right? the methods and madness to it, right? Like trying to get to the right mix of, who could actually assist us with what we wanted to do and who also believed in us. I think both of those coming together was really difficult in the beginning.
The rejection responses that they were getting, they asked for the why. Like, why did you reject us? And so they took some of those whys and they implemented them into the business plan so that the next person that they did, they built upon that. And so by the time they got to me, I was like, oh, give me 15 minutes. I'll call you right back. And I'm pretty sure it was like, what, maybe 20 minutes?
But like Christine and Ashlee, through that whole process, like how was it that you guys prepared before you met Lyndsey? Like what was the feedback that you got from the other lenders?
They worked with the SBDC. And so the SBDC made them a really, really great business plan. In fact, one of the things that I was blown away by when I got their business plan was the fact that they had a board established, so that they had Major League Baseball players that are retired, that live local, that were giving them advice. And I was like, I'm sorry, you have a board? And it was one of the things that people gave them feedback on. So, I mean, they got lots of different feedback in a lot of different ways. I think that it ended up in my lap because of one of the SBDC guys that I occasionally work with over there. And Ashlee was like, listen, I don't want to waste your time. We've already been to client. Like, she went through this whole thing of, I don't want to waste your time. And I think this is just a pipe dream. And maybe we just need to kind of chalk this up as a loss. And I was like, no, girl, hear me out. Like, send me your business plan. And she was like, oh, you really want to see it? And I was like, yeah, let's talk about it. So when I asked her some of those things, it had nothing to do with their business, their personal credit score. It had nothing to do with, them not having collateral if collateral was an issue. Had nothing to do with them not having the cash on hand that they needed to meet the SBA requirement. It just was the appetite of the bank. That was it.
Of every bank. So like you guys talked to 7 banks.
Yeah.
And so they're like, nah, la, 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 la. But then each bank offered you feedback. Let me just get this. Everybody's on the same page. Mm-hmm. Each bank offered you feedback. You changed it. And the SBDC helped you establish a business plan. But did you bring that business plan to every lender?
We had that before.
Yeah. So
Go ahead, Ash. It made it more robust, where we were following what we thought was what was needed, and we're assuming what the banks needed. Each time it was like more questions, more kind of defining some things, like assumptions. There was something called assumptions along the way that we needed to assume where we're going to be in a year, 3 years, 5 years, and be able to show profit. And we had kind of figured that out, but we didn't nail it down to more specifics. And so that we took that back, and it's like, okay, well, let's change our documents. At the end of the day, they're just looking at our documents. They're not looking at me or Christine or our other business partner, Carrie. They're looking at a piece of paper and deciding, is this worth it or not? So we had to put as much in a snapshot, but yet robust enough to show that we're going to do okay. We're going to turn profit at a certain point. And so it really took a lot of crunching numbers and really diving deeper, I think, into our business model than maybe we did initially with that first application, where that first application was fill out the paper, show them our business plan of what we want to do. And we're clear on our mission, vision, values, and how we're going to charge clients. But then it's creating Excel documents that really breaks it down of what we need to spend and how that's going to look to make money. That's what they wanted to see, is that we were going to be profitable. And I don't think we did that at the very first, but as we went and took a lot of the feedback and talked to the SBDC on some of the other, things to help make it more robust, that's when we were able to kind of have a full package. And I think it made it a lot easier to look at it from a financial standpoint as a banker, is that they're like, okay, they show profit. Is this real? And they go through and validate it. But we didn't have that right out of the gate. We were very starry-eyed and ready to jump in thinking we knew it, but we learned every single time and we applied it. And then it was a win when we got with Lyndsey.
So then Lyndsey, if do you think received their application like first round? Or is that a fair question?
No, I would have worked through it. Yeah. So I would have introduced them probably to the SBDC or like Bethany or Ross, like with rapid business plans. I would have done something to help them meet what we needed. Because there are lots of times that you do get those phone calls that they don't have the equity injection that they need, that it's really not going to work. But how do you tell them that? All 3 of these ladies have children. All of them are in these sports. All of them were spending great deals of time in the car traveling to go to these other facilities, being stuck, on I-95 traffic or whichever direction that they were going. And that alone makes it where you just get frustrated as a mom. And so why not pour into the people that you love? And then, of course, they get to be able to run it, be there, and then they still have their everyday jobs. Because that was another big piece of this too, is that all of them still get to be a mom. All of them still get to have their everyday jobs. And then they get to have this on the side where all of their kids' friends and all of their, friends through their kids, their, those adult friends get to be able to have that love too. So it's just little things that I saw, just kind of a little hidden gem. And then again, Ashlee kind of came into the conversation of, all right, I guess I'll have this conversation one more time. Why not? And then she was like, are you serious right now? And I was like, yeah, girl, let's do it. And she goes, wait, I feel like I'm being pranked. Like, I was like, no, let's do it. The cool thing is I do have the ability to pick up the phone, call our underwriter, like our approving underwriter, and say, hey, I like this idea. Here's why. And they hear me out and we have a conversation. And as long as everything that they initially told me matches, so whether it be, the statements show the right thing for their equity injection, that their credit scores are their credit scores, that they're not taking out loans to make this thing happen. And, they really did have a job outside of this. I mean, literally all the stars aligned. They just needed to find the right bank that made it work. And they did.
The previous borrower, like on my first episode, said the people that surrounded my lender supported her and got through the deal. So do you think that's a significant part of, any relationship in knowing, your back office and knowing yeah.
Because they already had a place picked. There was a time frame, there was a crunch, there was a need. They had already done extensive amounts of homework of already finding the vendors. They knew exactly all the things that they needed to be able to get this done. And I want to say, gosh, we had y'all's loan closed in 67, 68 days. It was something, reasonably timed. There was there was an appraisal that ended up having to happen. So probably could have had it closed in 60 days, but there was an issue. But it wasn't.
That was my next question. Holy crap.
Yeah.
What
there's always last minute issues that happen on any SBA loan. I was supposed to close one on Friday and it's a flood cert issue. And there's always third party vendors that we have to fight with.
But this was new. What kind of loan was it?
It's a leasehold improvement. So meaning that they rented the space and that they've built it out to improve it to be able to make it where it, outfits their indoor batting cage facility. Right. So they had to get a general contractor involved. They worked through a couple people because they needed to have a time frame and a budget. So some of these things, they were hard set on, nope, this is the number. And if you can't meet it, brought to the races with another one. So they were really, really good about their homework. They were super prepared. It's one of those love stories that you kissed enough frogs and you got your prince or princess.
So through the process, you guys, how did you pick the people to build out, or like Lyndsey, were you part of that process, or how did that work?
No, I let them drive. They had done enough homework.
Yeah, when we first started, we just needed to get an idea of hey, what is it going to take to get this thing open? Give us an estimate of how much this might cost to try and build out. These are the things that we think we need in this area. And we had a couple of really good contractors who at the very beginning kind of gave us some advice of, hey, these are the things you want to do. This is what the area is like. These are people that we have connections with who can kind of help us get through that process. Thankfully, we had a couple people who we trusted and knew. And so at the very beginning, we felt very confident that, okay, hey, this is the budget. This is how much it's going to cost. And so we were able to get that. That's really what pushed the loan forward, was being able to get that from, a friend of ours that we knew who had a really good friend that was a general contractor. So kind of a same kind of thing. We very similar to the banking process, trying to find the general contractor was kiss a few frogs to get to the right one kind of thing. Same thing, which I think anybody that's ever done a project knows like the general contractor can make or break your project, can literally make it go smoothly or can make it be very, very difficult. So same kind of thing. But we spend a lot of time talking to people, walking people through the space, giving them our vision, saying this is what we really want it to look like in the end. And it's crazy just to see how far it's come from, like, if you could look at what it looked like before we moved in there to what it looks like today, it really is mind blowing.
You guys have like a whole love story of like, hey, yeah, like husbands, like appraisals, and then
Yeah.
like other stuff, and like we should make this like a love story, right?
Yeah.
Because Lyndsey brings it back to the author, and then like she brings the story all together. And then like when you guys met her, was it like a first date, and then the trust, and then building the relationship, and then at the end there's a marriage? So like between the first date, building the relationship, getting to love her at the end, building the relationship and getting to love her, what was the process like?
Lyndsey and I clicked right away. I think we couldn't all three be the spokesperson. That would just create chaos. So I kind of became our spokesperson between Lyndsey and the group and back and forth. And she and I mean, Lyndsey, I would call and we just chatted and like we built a friendship, I think, that is just unique. I would have never expected that I would be friends with my banker and that we would talk about things other than just dollars and cents and money. But that helped me trust her more. And I think that humanized us a little bit, that, we're just out here trying to figure it out. So she knew how to talk to us. She knew how to navigate things alongside us, support us when we needed it, and push us when we, in other areas, and really kind of helped us along that. So I think she and I kind of from that beginning had a bond. And that kind of carried through to the next step. I mean, it was a celebration when we got to that closing, and all three of us were there. We were celebrating and so happy, and it felt right. It felt right with her. And I'm not sure I would have expected that with my banker. So I think we got lucky here that it did become a friendship in this, and then seeing it all the way through. She's checked in. She's just, calling, finding out, and I feel like she'll be there for our grand opening. Hopefully it's very, very soon. A big event, because she's part of this. She made this happen. And so I think that grew, and there have been moments that she's had to deliver bad news to us. There's been moments she's had to kind of guide us in different directions, and it's a lot easier when you trust them and you built this relationship with your banker.
And Ashlee's done a great job of, even though we weren't always on the phone with Lyndsey, right? Like Carrie and I were not always on the phone with Lyndsey, but Ashlee's done a great job of, like, I feel like I know Lyndsey, right? Because of just the way that the whole process is handled. So I'm like, we're friends too, it really did work in a way that, like, that trust was built between all of us, even though it wasn't like, hey, this is a point person. So we appreciate you both, because you guys really did such a great job of just like shepherding us through the process.
Lyndsey does a really exquisite job of communication, executing, and
Dana, you're reading this. Did you pre-script this?
no, I'm not reading this.
Because you don't believe me? Like, you don't believe me that much that I did. Lyndsey
provided an approach, a love, and a way of executing anything that I've gotten to know her as this person that just is one of a kind. And she brings the softness and humanness in a BDO where if I could recruit her, I would love to work with her, but I get it. Stop. But I love the fact that you guys found what you needed in her after 7 people, right? Because one of my questions was, if there was any like surprises or throughout the process where it was kind of like, oh shit, are we gonna get this done? Right?
I mean, they never probably felt that way, but you did an SBA loan. There's always surprises. There's always a weird turn that happens, and do I think that they regret finding me? No, because listen, I have never in my life, and the years I've been in banking, have somebody actually bring me a closing gift. And those girls made me the cutest basket. And of course, I got them some bottles of wine, and I was like, listen, all 3 flavors are covered here. So here they are. And of course, Ashley was like, you didn't have to do that. And I was like, well, look who's talking. But I do have their stickers. And Ashley even sent me a Christmas card.
I love that. Hey, Linz, do you have a question to ask?
I think it's an amazing question because the dating pool, can kind of get mucky. So, ladies, what advice would you give for people that are trying to get through the SBA process?
I would say not to give up. It can be daunting and, just like dating. So I don't think any part of our process, even getting all the no's that we got before we got to you, I think it was all worth it. I think that you look back and you say, all of that was a part of the process that led me to exactly where we were supposed to be. And you can't get disheartened by people who don't believe in you. Find the person who does believe in you, right? Like, stick to what you believe that mission is, what you think your purpose is, and we really lean into that with our business as well as like friendships of, we want to be around the people who share our values, who think the same way we think, who have that same end goal and the type of people you want to be around. So same thing for this, right? Like, you don't have to compromise that. You can stick to your guns. You can, not give up and stick with that and find that person who believes in you the way that you believe in you. And that's what Lyndsey did for us. I mean, that's the really cool thing about the whole process, is that we found someone who, from the very beginning, made us feel like, okay, we could do this.
I wish that there was, so the commonality between you and the first episode was the finding the right lender. There's not anything out there that provides the right lender or provides like information, because you guys.
Yeah.
So let me just say this. SBA does have a lender match program. So let me just say that there is something out there, but it's literally speed dating. It's terrible because sometimes you get advice from somebody's very quick to say no. Then you've got people go, oh, this isn't in my wheelhouse, or this loan amount is not enough. I mean, their loan was like maybe $350,000. So some of the times that's where minimum lenders start. So they may have gotten a no just because of the size of the loan amount. But there is a program out there, but it's like putting your name out there that you want to shop insurance. You're going to get a bajillion phone calls from different preferred lenders. You're going to get a ton of emails. And it's a rocky speed date.
I wish there was something out there where, like, from my side, what I'm hearing from a lot of, like, getting to know the lenders and the borrowers is, like, there's nothing. I guess you're right.
So
it's
Ashley, what were you going to say? I'm curious.
No, I was just going to say,
process.
Sorry.
In that process, what we learned is that they'll kind of drag you on just enough. They'll get we had to give our information to so many people. We were kind of like, is this bad that we're giving all our personal information? But we were so desperate. But then they pull you along just enough, and then they end up saying no, but they always had another product that they could sell you on. And then it kind of messes with your mind because you're like, well, do I want to do that? It's like 20% interest rate or something absolutely absurd. But because you're so vulnerable in that moment, you're almost like, should I say yes? Should we pursue this? Should we do this? Because we so badly wanted to be funded, but your brain doesn't think straight. Just like when you're in a messed up relationship, you're not thinking straight. And so we didn't pursue it, obviously, but we had those moments where like, well, what do we do? Do we need to put, give a kidney and maybe we'll get a loan? They kind of pull you in. And so there was some trickery in some of these lenders that I felt probably a little bit more unsafe. And like, that's not, but they were doing their job and they were trying to sell us other products when they told us no. And so I again, it just made this falling to Lyndsey just magical because we've been through so much trauma. But that is one thing I would give like other lenders, be leery. They're gonna try to sell you on something, and you might feel so drawn to do it because you're desperate to get funded, and it might be probably not good in the long run. And we really had to have that awareness and step back and just keep pushing through, like Christine was saying, is you just have to keep going and knowing what your goals are and knowing your passion for your business or product or whatever it is that you're trying to get money for. You just have to stick with it because there are some sneaky people out there.
There's so many sneaky people out there. I spent so much time on the phone. It's like going through menopause and not being able to go through like a hot flash. Not.
How did we relate this to that? But okay, I'm with it. Okay.
Sorry,
I'm just really excited and thankful that there's the opportunity to help them achieve the goal for as a group of women. I mean, back to the group of women side of life, I'll say and lead with that. It's a lot of fun. I did have some really great conversations with Ashlee, which related to, it seemed like we had already known each other. So the first time that I met them was at their actual closing.
What?
So it was like we had already known each other. Yeah, that was the only time I've met them. So it was really cool. So it's a lot of fun, great friendships. But the cool part that I get to see and translate is into some of their social media posts and the videos and things that they make is that their kids are having fun and that their kids are jumping around and knowing that like I'm probably going to get in trouble for doing this, but I'm going to try to do it anyway because my mom owns this joint, you know? And I guarantee you it's happening. And they're like, get off of that. Stop right now. But the cool part too is I've even asked them, I'm like, please like keep me informed. I want to be at your grand opening. And they're like, you're going to drive 4 hours to be at our grand opening? Abso-freaking-lutely.
When's your grand opening?
So
Tentatively February 2nd.
Yeah, we're hoping to be open. So opening day down here is like that third week of February. So we're getting right up to it. So hopefully a little bit less than a month from now.
So
about Valentine's Day.
About Valentine's Day, right around there.
Well, so like, but at the end of the video, we'll put up the website.
I mean, the ladies have done a really good job, but I've heard through Ashlee some of the reasons that they chose to go with certain programs so that they could make sure that it's blocked out. They have some really great concepts and ideas on the calendar for events to bring out, you know, these retired Major League Baseball players to kind of throw in some pizzazz and, you know, make sure attendance is full in there. And even doing, you know, I remember as a kid during the summer and making sure I was keeping myself out of trouble. They're making sure that they're working with all the different schools and the different after, you know, summer event programs to be able to make sure that these buses and transportation can get them to and from. So they've done, that's what I said. They've done a phenomenal job. I'm excited to see what happens. But they did really make this process pretty easy after they probably got with the SBDC and they got some of those little things torqued, you know, figured out. You just tweak those little pieces. But it was, Ashlee, what time did we talk that night? I want to say it was like 6:30 your time, maybe or so.
I was at the field and I happened to be right next to Christine when you called me. She was pitching a bullpen to our boys and batting practice, not a bullpen. She was doing batting practice with our boys in the cage. And I'm like, I mean, my face just probably was all kinds of things, like trying to communicate in facial expressions to her.
Yeah. So
I remember that well.
I mean, I'm pretty sure from start to finish, our entire conversation lasted less than an hour for me to give her like an initial verbal approval. Yep. And she was pretty speechless. She was like, I'm sorry, what did you just say?
But that's what but that's what it takes, right? So you went the extra pitch, right? And you got a home run. But what I'm more impressed about is like 3 moms coming together and just having the same common goal, because in our day and age, oh man, moms just like.
Yeah, but they're not the catty moms. They're the cool moms that may have a neutral in their Yeti that is posing as water. Or maybe it's not.
Well, you don't have that in New Jersey, just like, but you know, I love the fact that you guys came together, had an idea, and had your stuff to, like, not only like you had your stuff together and you were smart, and not only are you our moms, like you guys have jobs and like how you manage it. See, that's the underlying thing, right? We're gonna do another podcast, right? About balancing like the, you know, like, God bless it, family and business owning and just running your own freaking career. Christine and Lyndsey, thank you for being on my podcast. I love this. I love the whole women entrepreneur. I love how Lyndsey like was the final date in the marriage, and I can't wait for your opening. Ashlee, when is it?
We're hoping later in February, very soon.
Cool. So like I'll post the website, everybody will know, and we'll get all the information out. But for this love story as an ending, It was so fun. I think this is my favorite love story, like, to date.
Match
Lyndsey,
made in heaven.
Lyndsey, you always bring it